What's going on, everybody? Welcome to today's video. Tales of the Gig number 11, Detroit Customs Guard. I am always looking for gig stories from my fellow musicians. If you got a gig story and you wanted to be on the show, send an email to musiciangeek519@gmail.com with the title Tales of the Gig. You can take a selfie video of yourself and I can include it in the show, or you can just type up a story that I can read on the show. I will in return absolutely end up plugging your band's social links, websites, gigs, anything that you want promoted in return. So, this was at roughly between 1999 and 2002. At the time, I was still a full-time musician. As I believe I've stated before, at the time, and currently, I live in Windsor, Ontario, Canada. Windsor, Ontario, Canada is border city to Detroit, Michigan. So basically, if you go to Detroit, and from Detroit, you go to Canada, you end up in Windsor, Ontario, my town. Windsor has a population of roughly 233,000 people. That becomes roughly 338,000 people when you add up all of the Essex County area. Detroit has a population of roughly about 674,000 people, roughly 4,300,000 when you add up the entire Metro Detroit area. So obviously, there's far more venues to play at in the Metro Detroit area, just due to the fact that it's far larger. Larger population, larger metro area, a lot more bars, restaurants, clubs of any sort of which to play at. I got my dual citizenship in 1998 due to the population difference and the fact that at the time, $1 US was $1.62 Canadian. It was 62% on the dollar. Kind of hard to pass up that much of a pay difference. At that time, as soon as I got my dual citizenship, I started to concentrate almost solely on playing in Michigan completely. I turned down all Windsor and Essex County area gigs for a very long time due to that fact. The trip over the border itself, whether you take the tunnel or the bridge, the trip itself driving is 5, maybe even 10 minutes. Not even. That is, of course, if traffic isn't backed up and if you don't get pulled in and hassled by a customs officer for a couple hours. Since I have long hair, facial hair, and piercings, believe it or not, I know that's not a big deal at all now, having long hair and facial hair and a couple piercings with, people having tattoos on their face and all that sort of thing. But back in 1999 to early 2000s, it was a very big deal. And I'm obviously a musician since my minivan is loaded up with guitars, amps, and speakers and everything. I would always give myself an extra 2 hours for crossing, just in case I get any hassles at the border. This has proved to be quite helpful. I have a huge list of horror stories about crossing the border, but, today we're going to talk about this particular one. So, I pull up to the customs booth. And, the usual questions, citizenship, anything to declare? Do you have any drugs or weapons? Do you have any prior convictions? Where are you heading? All the usual questions that you get. Then she asks me, what do you do for a living? I say, I'm a musician. She says, no, sir. What do you do for a living? I say, I'm a musician. She says, no, sir. I will ask you again. How do you get your money? I say again, I'm a musician. Then she fills out the tag, puts it underneath my windshield wiper, and then tells me to pull off and over to the left. That's what happens when you're going to get pulled into customs. So generally what happens, you pull up to the booth, you present your ID, they ask you a few questions. If they decide to let you go, you just drive off. But if you're going to be searched or hassled in some other way, what happens is they write things down on a little ticket, they put it underneath your windshield wiper, and you go off and to the left and park in an area where you have to go in with your ID. Your car can get searched, you can get searched. So anyways, that's what happens. I get the ticket underneath my windshield wiper and I get pulled in. So whenever you get pulled in from the booth, it's the same person that meets you in the customs area where you have all your ID. So it's her, the same customs guard. She comes out and I get called up to the front to talk to her again. And she says, "You're going to sit here all day. I don't care how long it takes until you can tell me what you do for a living, until you can tell me how you get your money." I tell her again, I'm a musician. She says, "No, how do you get your money?" I say, "Okay, I'm going to break it down for you step by step. Tonight, I'm going to play my gig at whatever bar. Can't remember what bar it was at the time. And they are going to pay me X amount of dollars. Tomorrow, I'm going to go to this bar and I'm going to play there from 9 till 1. They're going to pay me X amount of dollars. Sunday, I'm going to this bar from 4 till 8 and they're going to pay me X amount of dollars. This goes on for me 3 to 5 nights a week. They pay me for playing music." She gets a really confused look on her face and says, "You don't have a regular job?" I said again, "That is my job." You know what the definition of a job is, right? When you provide a good and or service for someone and you get compensation, usually in the form of currency of some sort of whatever country that you're in. I'm providing a service and they are going to pay me for it. That is my job. Then she got a look on her face that kind of looked somewhere between confused and offended. She just walked away from me for like another 30 minutes. And then she came back, threw my ID at me and said, "You could go." It's like she thought only rock stars made a living from music. Like only household names make money for playing music. You know, people that you hear on the radio, you know, people in magazines at the checkout line on MTV. Do they even still have musicians playing music on MTV anymore? I'm not actually sure. But anyway, she thought only household names, like anytime she's gone to a restaurant, bar, and there was live music or a wedding or any type of private function, like she thought that all of us just play for fun. A lot of musicians do, nothing against that, but like she thought that there was nobody that she hasn't heard of before that could possibly make a living from music. Like, you really think that we're going to spend thousands upon thousands of dollars on all this equipment, spend hours to load it in and load it out and not make some money? Yes, there are those of us who make a living playing music. Wow. I had to explain it to her like a child that you can make money playing music. Here's the steps. I go, I play, they pay me, it happens again, you know. They pay. Musicians aren't always playing for booze and food at a bar that they're working at. Oh, yes. And music is a real job. Again, everyone, I'm still always looking for gig stories from my fellow musicians. If you got a gig story and you want it to be on the show, send an email to musiciangeek519@gmail.com with the title, Tales of the Gig. You can take a selfie video of yourself and I'll feature it on the show, or you can just type something up and I can read it off on the show. I will in return absolutely plug your band's social links, gigs, merchandise, music, whatever it is that you'd like plugged in return. Thanks for checking out this video. Do what makes you happy. Hey everyone, if you like what you saw in this video, please subscribe, click the notification bell, like, comment, and share. Doesn't cost anybody a thing and it would really help out the channel. Thanks again for watching.